Hello and welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Hazel de Kloe, the Wealth Whisperer, and today's episode is all about apportioning. Now, I learnt this concept many years ago, probably 20 odd years ago, and I just want to share with you today how we are living proof that this idea works. So you may be thinking, well, what on earth do you mean by apportioning, Hazel? Well, I'm talking about basically allocating your funds, allocating the spare cash flow that you have at the end of each month in a very specific way. So if you've already filled in your financial spreadsheet, which I've shared with you on the How to Manage Your Money episode, there's also a link on this page as well for you to be able to go and grab one of those if you haven't already and fill that in. Then when you've done that, you will have a tab that's filled out, which will be your monthly cash flow. So that will be basically your expenses taken off your monthly income. And it will leave you with a figure, an amount that is left over at the end of all the long list of bills and expenses that you have to pay each and every month. Okay. And so what we're talking about is being able to apportion that amount of money, whatever it is that's left over. Obviously, if it's minus and you are borrowing money at the end of each month, then you definitely have to go and listen to my call about how to save money and to stop yourself hemorrhaging money and cash where it might be disappearing off into the ether without you realizing where it's going before you can start to apportion. So perhaps you maybe want to go and listen to that episode if this describes you. But if you do have an element of cash flow at the end of your month, meaning that you have, I don't know, a spare 100, 200, 500,000 pounds a month coming in, then this episode is definitely for you. We learnt these principles, like I say, around about 20 odd years ago now, since this episode is aired. And essentially what it means is that you take that cash flow that you have and you work with it very specifically. You divide it up into separate pots, the way you want to build up your money for each of those individual items. So what you're going to do, you're going to take the amount of cash flow that you have, which will be a certain proportion of your monthly income. So let's say that your expenses equate to 70% of your income. Okay, so the 30% that's left is going to be the money that you work with. It may only be 10%, it may be 15%. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you have that amount of money to work with. And what you're going to do, you're going to start to decide where that money goes. Now, there are a few accounts that you can do this in. We've had, for many, many years, we've had a Barclays account. And since, I don't know, I'm trying to think, probably 10, maybe 15 years ago, we were able to start dividing our accounts up into smaller accounts online and call them different things. Okay, so that we had one main account and then we had these sub accounts. So ideally, you're looking for an account that enables you to do such a thing. Now, I know that there are other accounts out there. You will have to find out whether your bank provides that sort of service. Alternatively, you can add an account called Monzo. Now, Monzo is a great tool that allows you to do this. So you could put, for example, the amount of expenses that you have, the amount of income, the cash flow, that you have after your expenses. You could put that into a Monzo account and then you could allocate it off from there. So your surplus that you have, you could put into, for example, an account like Monzo and start to work with it from there. Okay, I'm not affiliated with Monzo at all, just giving you some advice about that. So essentially, that's what you do. You start off by taking your cash flow out of your account and you start allocating it. And what you do is you decide which accounts you'd like to have. So, for example, if you happen to be working towards wanting to be financially free, then you would definitely have a financial freedom account. Okay, so a portion of your funds are going to go towards financial freedom. Then you may have something like a rainy day fund, like an emergency fund, whatever you want to call it. So for the unforeseen circumstances that pop into your life and a bigger expenses, like if your washing machine packs up or your boiler blows or whatever, then you've got an emergency pot. Then you may have something like a specific pot. So, for example, if you want to buy your own home or you're saving for a wedding or other kind of bigger event or life happening, then you can have a very specific fund for that. You may want to have a travel fund, for example, or it could be called your holiday fund, whatever you want it to be. So money where you put, place where you put your money for in order to be able to travel. Then you could have, if you feel to, you could have a giveaway fund. Now, this fund doesn't have to be huge. It could even be just 0.5% or 1% of your overall income coming in. And this could be to give to charity. It could be to find a good cause of your own that you feel to give to, or if you have a friend or something happens that, you feel you'd like to be able to donate, if a friend's doing something for charity or what have you, then you've got a fund there that you can think to yourself, actually, yeah, I can afford to give that money away. And there's something very cathartic about being able to give money away that actually helps you to feel even more abundant yourself. So there is a reason, and there's all sorts of principles that are talked about in many other places other than this show, that teach you that giving away is a very, very amazing way of growing your own personal wealth and your own sense of abundance. Okay, so having a giveaway fund can be a nice little added touch, if you like. And then there's the fun account. Now, who doesn't want to have fun, right? It's really important to have a fun account, because this is going to exercise your money muscle in terms of actually spending. Now, it may be that you're already really good at spending money, right? But at least that this will then help you to rein it in a little bit and have a budget for that. If, on the other hand, you're like I used to be pretty rubbish at spending money on myself or on treats and things like days out and what have you, it makes you spend, and it makes you actually go out there and have some fun with the money that you're working with and you're managing carefully. So it's really, really important to have a fun account. What we tend to do is, with the fun account, us personally, we like to have cash in our hand to be able to then go and spend on a day out, on a meal out, on some sort of event or happening. So we have an account. We have cash in our hand that we can go and do that with. Of course, you can keep it online if you prefer to pay with card, but there's something quite what's the word? Well, it's tangible, isn't it? You're actually holding the money in your hand, and there's so little of that around these days that it can be really fun and lovely to have money in your hand to then be able to spend on things, items that you would really, love to do or have or experience. All right. So yeah, when you start to do this, it can be a pretty cathartic experience. You may be able to set it up in your bank account that this happens automatically. If you know how much consistently you have coming in every month, then you may be able to automate this. So look to see if your bank account can enable you to do that. Otherwise, it's just a question of spending a few minutes each month, once you've decided what your pots are, once you've decided, how much is going to go into them. So let's say, for argument's sake, you have 30% left of your overall income each month. And let's say that 10% of that is going to go to your financial freedom account. Let's say your rainy day fund is 5%. Maybe something else specific is 5%. Then you've got travel, 5%. Maybe your giving away pot is 5%, and your fun account maybe 5%. Or you can alter those figures accordingly, whatever, whatever suits you best and feels right to you. There's no right or wrong about this. And of course, you can add as many accounts as you want, or you can just have a handful. I would say at the absolute minimum, you want to have the rainy day fund. You want to have a savings fund of some description. Either you're going to call that financial freedom or just savings, or investments, or whatever you want to call it, and have your fun account. Okay. So once you've decided all of that, you could just spend a few minutes at the end of each month when you get your money in, or when you've figured out how much money has come in that month, and you can start to allocate to your pots. And it's really very fun when you see them start to grow. We have, for example, we have property maintenance fund, we have a tax fund, we have a car fund, we have travel fund, we have obviously, wealth fund, building wealth fund, we have a fun account, etc., etc. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head which ones we have. And it's really fun to see these accounts ticking up over the course of a year. And it's just great for when something happens, that you have that money in place for that specific purpose. You don't have to try and find it somewhere. You don't have to panic, etc. And of course, as your income grows, so do your pots. And again, like magic, like I've described, on previous podcasts about how the magic happens when you start to manage your money in a really great way, the pots just seem to keep growing. So I highly, highly recommend that you look into this and you set yourself up an account that allows you to have these sub accounts, name them, have fun with them, work with them. It doesn't matter if it takes you a little while to get the hang of this or to decide what it is, but just do it. There is a great old saying which says you don't have to get it right, you just have to get it going. I had a client once who spent probably 6 months trying to figure out what her pots were going to be, how much she was going to put in, then actually setting them up. And by all this time had gone by, it was like, come on already, just get it going, just do it, just actually start the process. And as soon as they did, it was like magic had happened, and the penny dropped, and they could actually see this money building up in each of the accounts, and it finally clicked as to why it was really important to do so, and also just to get it going. Okay, it's not difficult. Anyone can do this. Just sit yourself down, take the time to do it, give yourself, just allocate a bit of time to doing it. And before you know it, you'll be doing it regularly each month and enjoying it, hopefully. That's the whole point. We want you to have fun with this. We want you to have fun with finance. And when you get yourself really organized, then the fun can flow. So I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. If you have, click that like, subscribe, follow, and I very much look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care till then. Bye for now.